Hi, Marcus. Thanks for coming in. It's good to see you again.
It's nice to see you too.
Thank you. I've been looking over some of the symptoms that you were telling me about and some of the techniques that we talked about. But I see you're still struggling with the heavy fog from what you said last time, and you're saying that it just doesn't feel like it's lifting. Does that sound pretty right?
Yeah, it's pretty exhausting sometimes. I've been doing the breathing exercises and hitting the gym, but it feels like I'm just running a race like in waist deep water, and I'm just tired of fighting with my own brain.
Wow, that's a powerful way to put it. When the water is that deep, sometimes we need some floaters. We need to change the environment a little bit. And it's not just harder at swimming because it feels like you're drowning. So I'd like to talk to you about the possibility of maybe adding a low dose antidepressant to the treatment plan. How does that sound to you?
Uh, Honestly, it sounds a little intimidating. I don't want to feel like, a zombie, and I've always felt like I should be able to handle this on my own without any medication.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. And I hear that a lot too. That often has a lot to do with the stigma that's associated with mental health and people just thinking that we need to push through and it's all about willpower. But depression often actually has a really biological aspect. The chemicals in our brain, they change over time. And so think of it like a bridge, and some of the planks are missing in the bridge, or even the end of the bridge, maybe the connecting piece is missing. So it really doesn't matter how fast you run, you just can't get across that bridge. It's like swimming in the oceans, just too big, too much.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting analogy, and it makes me wonder how does the medicine actually fix the bridge?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked. So your brain uses some chemicals called neurotransmitters, and the neurotransmitters send messages between nerve cells. But one of the big chemicals that affects mood is serotonin. In the brain, when the brain is struggling with depression, the serotonin often gets reabsorbed very quickly by sending the message. It's sending the cell before the message is received. So it's like a text message that gets deleted before you can read it.
Wow, that's interesting. So the medication is going to stop that?
Well, the most common medications for depression are for antidepressants. That's the name of the medication is an antidepressant. It's a SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And basically, they block the reabsorption process. So it allows the serotonin to stay in place between the cell and receive the message. So this strengthens the connection and it helps the brain communicate mood, sleep, appetite, um, and it eventually helps with all the symptoms that you've been telling me that you're experiencing.
Hmm. Well, so will this medication, antidepressant, change who I am? And that's kind of my biggest fear.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that could be a fear, and that's a very valid fear. So the goal isn't to create a new you. It's really just to clear the fog that you were talking about so the real you can come back.
Hmm.
So it doesn't manufacture happiness. It doesn't make you like a zombie. Um, it really just raises the floor so that the mood, so you're not crashing as hard and you're not, it doesn't take as much to get up. So really the messages are being received by the brain and it doesn't fluctuate as much as it normally would. So it stabilizes it really. The bandwidth is actually, it's an emotional bandwidth that comes down. So you'd actually be able to use the tools that we've been practicing in therapy. They might help.
Okay, but that sounds good. How long does it take? I've heard, that it's not like taking an aspirin for a headache or something like that.
Yeah, you're actually right about that. It does take a little while. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get the full effect. Your brain is essentially rewiring those pathways, so that does take time. And we can start off with a low dose just to see how your body reacts. I can let the physician know, the psychiatrist or prescribing physician know that you're interested in this, and they could start you off at a low dose.
Okay, well, what, if any, are there any side effects of taking SSRIs?
Um, well, as with most medications, there can be some side effects. The most common, well, let me just say, actually, most SSRIs are generally well tolerated by many people, and the side effects are fairly mild. Um, but do there are some side effects, and within the first 2 to 4 weeks, you might feel some stomach stuff, like nausea, and then your sleep disturbance. You might have insomnia, or you might sleep too much, as well as headache, dizziness, and then maybe some physical sensations like sweating, dry mouth, and maybe some appetite changes. Those are the most common ones. It's not to say that you'll feel all of the side effects, but they're usually pretty mild for the first 2 to 4 weeks. And it's really just as your body adjusts to the changes in the brain chemistry. Some of the serious side effects that you should keep an eye out for are like high fever, shivering, rapid heart rate. If you have extreme suicidal thoughts, and always remember you can call 988 if you escalate to a point like that. And then also just be cautious about what you take, other medications, because aspirin and ibuprofen and stuff can cause internal bleeding. But that's more on the severe level. So, starting off with a low dose, mild symptoms. But those are just things that you might have to look out for, and they can give you more information at the psychiatrist's office.
Okay, well, if it doesn't work, or what if the side effects are really bad?
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you asked. Because that can happen. So the good thing is there's a lot of different medications, and they've actually done plenty of studies with a lot of these medications. So if one doesn't work, we can pivot and just try a different one. Everyone's chemistry is unique. Um, it really, there's so many different options, and we can stay in constant communication. You let me know how it's working, or you can let your psychiatrist know directly, and we can work together as a coordinated treatment team to make sure that the medication is addressing the symptoms that you're experiencing, and that the symptoms are reducing. And yeah, and you're making progress. So that's ultimately what we want to see.
Okay. Ah, well, okay. If it helps me feel like I'm not fighting underwater anymore, I'm willing to learn a little bit more about it.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that. It's just an additional tool to help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's really just a strategic move to get the best out of your recovery plan. And it doesn't have to be forever, right? It's once you stabilize, you can taper off. And I do want to let you know it's important to not go cold turkey. So if you do start taking it, um, it's definitely recommended that you taper once you're ready to stop. Um, but that's something we can discuss later on down the line as well. But it is important for me to tell you that. But I'm really glad to hear that you're open to taking the medication. Do you have a routine where you can incorporate the medication into, like a time that
Actually,
you?
yeah, I do. I have a morning routine where I wake up and I hit the gym, and then I come back and I drink a protein shake and I take a handful of vitamins, and I do that every morning.
Great. Okay. Do you want me to help you set an alarm for the medication, or do you think that you'll be able to remember when you do your routine in the morning?
I think that I would be able to just add the pills into my vitamins if that's okay.
Great. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. So the last thing I do want to discuss is maybe keeping a log of your medication. It's always good to keep track of when you do take your medication, just to keep track of the consistency, and then also track your mood to see how the medication is helping, and if there's any progress here with your moods. That would really help to determine if the medication is helping. Would you
Well,
like
I
me to
think,
help you create a tracker?
yeah, I really do think that that sounds like a great idea. I mean, I have a daily to-do list that I check off, and I could add to it and maybe set an alarm for like when I get home if I'm not doing it in the morning time.
Great. Okay, that sounds good. So we'll go ahead and get that. I'll get that log and I'll send the referral for your medication. I'm really glad you came in today, and thanks for having this chat with me.
Thank you.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, CJ. Bye.